And Cyril too. All right. Well, while I'm trying to find Cyril, Jim, um, maybe just a quick update on like where things are from the last time we met. It was a couple weeks ago when we were talking about, you know, the team at Orange is bringing in CassKop team is bringing PRs over. How's that going? And just an update.
Yeah, so I think based on where we were at a couple weeks ago, I would be happier to say we're farther along now. But I've talked with Cyril a couple times on we use ASF Slack. I think we both feel comfortable with chatting each other, so that's good. There's 3 tickets open. I think one is the backup and restore one is maybe most interesting. Maybe not to talk about here, but I don't know if that was the most recent one opened and probably needs the most additional discussion. I know John is trying to work through Medusa
Yeah.
stuff right now. Like he was chatting me about it yesterday, so it's a push. I know we're trying for KubeCon now.
Yeah, we all know why.
Now I've spilled the beans. It's fine. I mean, it's nothing that everyone didn't want anyway. So so there was that.
It's an open source secret.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think you can go see it on the repo.
Yeah, it's not a big secret. It's just we haven't told the press yet. We get all excited about Kubernetes topics.
So let's see. So the other two, so I think the like one relating to like just generic extensibility, and I was behind on the Cassandra dev mailing list. I saw that was what you wrote there, Tom, and then I was like trying to remember which dates. So if we like talked about that on the video chat, like after that email, sorry if I was confused the last time we spoke or whatever, but yeah, like the extensibility for Cass operator, we're just going to like a completely like not laissez-faire, but you know, the customer's always right, which might mean you hit some interesting error cases and stuff. And John's actually testing that first. We have some integration tests, but I think he found like a corner case around volume mounts, so we're going to get that fixed. Yeah, I've just been trying to, with the time I can spend on Cass operator right now, I've been trying to just make sure that it's stable and we can cut a release whenever we feel good. There's been a lot of activity in the Gitter room, and I need to kind of find somebody to, you know, field really interesting questions there when I can't. Actually, somebody from the community seems to be trying to help other people there. So I'm like, this is so fascinating for me. I've never done this much with open source before. So seeing someone, I recognize their name from a couple of different Cassandra-based forums, and then he's like offering advice about like kind of memory.
I don't know about this Gitter link. This is
just
very tightly held secret.
It's open source secret. It's just click it. It's on it's linked in the we have a badge or whatever in the README.
Yeah, I'd be happy to promote it in a lot of places too. I think that's probably a good idea.
I lapsed. I don't know what happened. Probably just family stuff made me lapse during the week leading up to Halloween. So that's my fault. But yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. I think as community things go, it'd be good if there was a second kind of pretty active person on there. It wasn't me. I'm seeing, so seeing somebody, some users try to field questions is great, actually. So anyway, good stuff there. So there's like one thing I'm aware of that I would like to get in before we cut another release, which is some logging stuff is still like not really ideal, especially if you're like an air-gapped Kubernetes cluster. And we've seen actually more than 1 or 2 people say like, hey, what do I do about this? And it's like, yeah, sorry, the config is like, you're painted into a corner. Sorry, we'll fix it soon. And that's really like a pretty small thing, and I just haven't pushed it across the line. As far as the other orange tickets go, which was the original question, I've labeled them all, and I think they're going to get the highest priority. But yeah, I'm glad Cyril hopped on. There's no PRs yet, so if anyone wants to like make a PR about like, I think I suggested last time maybe the best first one to collaborate on hopefully Kazizi is the kubectl plugin stuff, which I'm totally in favor of getting.
We want to make another 3 issues, and because we only started 3 because Cyril has a lot of leave, so he doesn't spend enough time on it.
That's okay. No,
Anyway.
I totally understand. Yeah.
There is another 3 coming. The one about the image that you can choose, because I have understood that you did, but I don't know if it's still the case. But there was an image with the 2 processes in there, with the Cassandra and the admin, that was in the same image, and which we don't really like actually, because we think that in Kubernetes each process should have its own little container, and we think that that's why you can't choose the image you want. But in the so that's something worth discussing. I don't know if it's to put on the table. I mean, our opinion is just our opinion, and that's all. The other one would be about the crossing of IPs when you have when you have two nodes on the same Kubernetes nodes. If you restart, there is a chance that the IP gets crossed.
I've seen
and
it.
then Cassandra is. So we have we had the issue in CassKop and we solved it. So then we can work on that.
I think we like looked at what you did for that. What was the solution? It was just like throw the pod away and start over. Like I'm trying to remember. It was something simple and easy.
At the end of the day, that's why it comes. But what we did is we look into the error, exact error, to check that it's a good one. We make sure that the error code that is returned by Cassandra is the one that explains that, well, you're in this case, and we had nothing else to do than just destroy the container and wait for it to respawn and change IP. Well, I mean, that's what's acceptable, as long as it's automated and it doesn't take long. And we added a parameter to say when it restarts 5 times, then you can just say we're not going to wait until it restarts 20,000 times. We want it to run indeed.
So
that's the second ticket.
Yeah, let me just jump into that one. So we don't look at the error, but we store a map of the host ID map. And then when we see 2 IPs who cross their host IDs, then we know that it happened. Because if 2 nodes change IPs, as long as they don't cross, that's okay. But if they cross, then they can't join the ring again. So
that's right. We worried about this a lot when we started work, and then I was the engineer a lot, like driving this in the cloud, and it's just like this is really hard to reproduce on GKE. You need to like push your topology into a state where it's like makes it easier to happen. And then I did see it, and I was like, oh, interesting. Like it only took me some months, but now I see how I can kind of force this to reproduce. So like we could definitely add some mitigation for that. I wouldn't argue it. It was something that kind of flummoxed us for a while, and it was sort of like, let's get some work done. I think we're worrying a lot about this, and we still just want like growing from 3 to 9 to be good. So
that's also why we talked many times about being able to use names instead of IPs in Cassandra.
I love that. Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, that's actually Jira in Cassandra right now, and I think it's being held up by the fact that 4.0, they're not going to put any big breaking changes in right now. But it's using DNS or having as an option instead of IP, and this has been a Kubernetes problem forever, and not just Kubernetes, but it will become an even bigger problem. I'll see if I can find the Jira.
I'll just throw in my quick vote. We did encounter this issue in our test clusters. So yeah, we definitely appreciated the CassKop mitigation for it. It worked, got us out of the jam. So it does come up.
Yeah. No. It was easy to see it was easy to see it happen when you start running these multiple things on one host, and then you like have a host reboot or something. Then it's like, oh. Well, they assigned out like IPs .2.3.4 to my 3 Cassandras, and then like I roll a host, and they might come up in like different order. Oh yeah, like this is gonna happen. It's a tedious test to write out, but yeah. I don't know if it's a good use of our time on the call, Patrick, but I would like to talk about the like single process and multi-process thing with the management API, but I fear that it'll turn into like a, the tabs versus spaces argument, and it's not that productive, but I have given it a lot of thought, and I think it comes up a lot when we've talked to people about this, and I've tried to see these like,
What are you saying? Come on, Jim.
I've tried to see like, is it worth for us to do this so this this discussion could just go away? And then after digging in pretty deep, I was like, nope, I don't think there's a better answer. Like you're just kind of going to encounter 15 other problems for this like purity of one PID per pod or per container.
Well, I mean, what are you worried about? That between the 5 of us, we're going to get into such an argument, we'll never talk to each other again?
Well, no. I just don't know if I don't know if it's a good use of 45 minutes, or if we should try to meet another time or do it over chat. Do it in some other medium. I don't really mind. And I also would say like, I would kind of invite Jake to be around because he worked through all this stuff. Like that's the management API Jake did. Not even the lion's share of the work on. Like it's all his. It's like his mental blueprint, and I'm invested, and I'm using it, so I can speak to it. And I asked him about it, so I don't want to just sort of like be like, well, the person that's not here told me blah 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 blah. Is the other part of it?
Yeah. No. I think that's fine. So just in kind of have the spirit of what this is about. It's a touch point, and it's as people show up. But I think this is a perfectly good case. And then we did this for the Cassandra project as well, where we called in an asynchronous meeting. Like we said, here's a topic, posted the agenda. Everyone who has skin in this game, show up. We negotiated a time that would work with all the affected parties. And then that was the discussion. And the reason I say that's probably better is we can get all the pre-work done, so everyone can show up with their opinions and not just like, hey, here's a random thing, quick, come up with an answer to defend yourself or this position, because that just turns into another meeting again anyway. Because everyone's gonna, we don't have an answer, and then we'll come back later.
Oh yeah, but I'm happy to kind of to go through it, but
I'd say let's articulate it. Let's call a meeting specifically about it. It's worth having these discussions and finding the right compromises and working together. That should be the intent.
So yeah,
we can do that by written. I mean, by writing, because it's always, sometimes for most people it's easier to read and reply than to come up and talk, because we're quite comfortable with each other now. Been there for ages almost. So, but then
practically coworkers.
Maybe some people don't like to talk. So I don't know.
So dev list.
I don't have a really. Yeah, or maybe just the issue we can open and we can reply on that. I mean, that's as long as it's in some way.
I might prefer like ASF Slack even, but I guess before we try to like hash it out that way, like I am curious, is this like your concern, Frank, like ops people at Orange's concern, like where I could be motivated to go like change a lot of stuff, but it's sort of just like, if it's just to satisfy like, some tooling that already exists that we could, someone could adjust.
My main concern is that it limits you to the image that you build yourself. You can't choose an external image and add your management API SATCA next to it, which means that, for example, if the latest version of Cassandra gets out, we have to wait until you provide the image. But apart from that, I know my ops team would like to be able to separate the memory and CPU allocated to each process. So We don't know how many CPUs your API needs. And they just love that. I mean, that's the only thing they like in Kubernetes is to be able to
I
specify
understand.
it and everything.
Yeah,
But that's, for me, that's not the most important thing.
Yeah, I'll just say now
I
a
mean,
couple things, and we can.
Yeah, you're gonna do it anyway, aren't you?
No, but I'm just saying it is supposed to be very extensible. I'll drop a link to how you'd plug in Cassandra 3.0, and obviously dev work is required, but the design is supposed to support, back to like whatever version of Cassandra that.
My other concern is that's the job of Kubernetes, to manage when a container drops fails, then it restarts it. How do you do when one of the two processes in your container fails? I mean, do you have like supervisor to start your image? How do you supervise the two processes in your image?
Yeah, so
what makes how do you,
yeah, so the way to get rid of the two processes would be if the management sidecar was like accepted as part of the project, and it's like, oh yeah, there's just an HTTP server that opens up on the side of Cassandra, then all of this could fold away and be simple, right? But like Patrick, or I think Patrick, someone just said like, oh, but like things are not, major changes are not going in right now because of 4.0 wanting to become stable. So that was kind of like not a thing. And then how do you?
I posted the Cassandra Jira for, I think, what we were talking about.
Yeah, and then how do you start to add this back to old versions, right? Where it's like, oh, we have to like go build a release of like 2.1 and 3.0, like so. And then I'll just say there's just a like a.
There's also there's a. I want to make sure we are thinking about, we're not just building for the future, but there has to be some backward compatibility in there somewhere. And talk to any SRE who's running Cassandra. The answer should not be, and you have to upgrade.
Yeah.
No, don't make me do that. Because that's like 8 changes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was exactly like in the, but I understand how it doesn't appear easy. And that's sort of just a like guilty as charged there. And we just need to like get some people with some time to like kind of show how you could add Cassandra 3.0 support. Maybe John wants to take a stab at that. At least an article that shows like kind of where you start. And yeah, of course, if like ops folks are like, oh no, we only run the JVM from like so and so, like you have to deal with this. But yeah, just trying to like wrap my head around that. I'm like, oh, then there's just like infinite possibilities. Like I don't know what we do, but
yeah, but what if someone else wants to use another JVM?
You could build the image. I could show you. I did it. I switched. I'll just say that in some context, I'm not using OpenJDK. I'm using Azure's OpenJDK. Okay. So I've done it. I wouldn't advise it to someone new to Docker and new to Kubernetes in the last month. Like, nah, you should learn and get good at other stuff. But like, I'm sure you could do this, Cyril. I'm sure, anyone that's kind of working on this stuff every day could do it. We just don't have a good example.
So, all right, put a cap on this.
Sure,
Take this over to a PR or to an issue in GitHub.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk through, but this is good.
This is good. I think this will frame the discussion. 2 choices are a discuss thread on dev, or like you said, an issue in GitHub. So which way are you going to go?
I'm going to pick GitHub all the time.
Figured.
I think it should be the people who are invested in looking at it. And
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think we started with issues, so we keep on that. I mean, and then
yeah, that's good. Yeah, if it was one of the issues, Frank was going to open anyway.
More between you and us, but that's fine. I mean, that's what we want. People can look at it if they want. They can participate, but it's not in the dev list where lots of people don't really look at this. I mean, they have no other issues. And the last issue we have is about we want to talk about the plugin, how we can integrate the plugin, because our SREs do like it a lot because they can act on nodes. You act on the clusters with the CRD, and on nodes when you want to do repair, rebuild, or something, you can use the plugin, and they actually like it pretty well. So
that sounds really cool.
It's
Yeah, I think
less necessary, but it would be nice anyway.
I think you also said that would be great, for example, if we provide a way in the plugin to say, okay, create a cluster with 2 DC and 2 nodes, something like this
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
future. I think. Yeah,
that would be
and you
amazing.
don't have to specify anything. They would just choose everything by default and
Yeah.
nothing to do.
Yeah, this would be great. And it's not like I feel like we picked some defaults and like anyway, I think the plugin doesn't have to be backwards compatible with the plugin of yesterday. And that's what's really nice about it. So it's like, oh, we decided to like the default, like I don't know. I rethink this stuff all the time, but I'm just like, why did we try to support less than RF3? Like it's just much harder. And it's fine. It's fine for like some kind of quick integration test, but it kind of turns into like I just wish, and I see people go to the Gitter and they're like, here's what I'm doing. And I'm like, yeah, so you got the Cassandra default replication factors and stuff set up. It's a shame because we have all this nice stuff for you and you're not using it. Why? Yeah, so the plugin, I think, track of getting these things created in the best possible state as of the version you're writing is pretty ideal. Because I see that, someone scooped up our operator and wrote something nice. I think it was like Solo IO. It was like this integration with Istio and stuff with it. And I was like,
Yeah, they did.
I was
pretty
really,
interesting.
really impressed. I was like, wow, I had no idea the stuff I worked on could be like, yeah.
I always love how you're like totally shocked by open source communities. It's so adorable. You're like, I can't believe, really? People pay attention all the time.
I mean, no, it's
Well,
great.
Cassandra.
I'm not
That's
arguing.
good
I'm
going
not
on.
doubting it. It's just sort of like it's cool when it happens to you.
Yeah, it is cool.
So anyway, like those people make assets, and it's not, the plugin will be a good way of not having people using ancient assets and then wondering why some new features or good defaults are not there.
So one thing I would ask is if you post a discussable type thing like that, and if you have open an issue like that, I think this is one that more people want to weigh in on. If you could just post a link in the ASF Slack, just to make sure, partly because I want to make sure that people are engaging in their thing, and it just is a refresher.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I guess just like I just don't want this to turn into like I felt like a lot of working on the operator was like attacking these things that people just maybe agreed to disagree on, right? And it's like, well, why is there no official sidecar thing? Or like, why is like metrics kind of like, everyone uses Jalokia, except we didn't use Jalokia, and then except there's good reasons, and like, I don't understand how the whole ball of wax will. I don't want everything to just turn into like, oh, here's this argument we had a year ago, and now I just get to have it on a different web page,
Well, it is part of that. You get here's the joy and the sadness of communities is, wow, they're using my stuff. Wow, they hate my stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is okay. Frank, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. I say in general, possibly the one about the multi-process is an exception, but we normally talk about functionalities that we need. I mean, that's the detail we jump into technical because that annoys us, but maybe an explanation would be all right. I mean, the thing is, I need to be able to justify to other people. And say, I don't know why they did that, and that. I mean, maybe your reasons are maybe more than enough, and I mean, for me, the functionality is more important. Okay, but this is the point I would need explanation on. That's all.
Yeah, that's good. That works for me. Yeah, that's why I was asking too. It's just like, not that I need to like question. It's just sort of just like, but why? Give me a little more of the why, and I'll try to figure out what we can.
Yeah, I mean, the why I can say is just like
it's
weird, but then if it's fine, that's okay. Patrick, anything?
No, I think that's the key. Is people want, it's the outcome that's important. Everything else is details. So I think it's really wise to say, yes, let's focus on what we're trying to accomplish and not about how we're building something. That's tabs versus spaces.
Yeah.
Fun conversation, but really, did it compile? Does it run my code? I mean, yeah, we can argue about tabs versus spaces. That's fine, but not in this context.
yeah, that's yep. I agree.
Yeah. So okay, good. Anything else?
I feel like I had a couple kind of.
Cyril, you when we talked earlier today, you were going to flag some things, or maybe that was something you had already just done.
Yeah, that's what Frank just did. The three
Okay.
tickets we talked about.
That's good.
Okay.
That
That's
was
good.
it. We talked 2 days ago maybe with Jim and John about being able, testing the ability to use a different image, a more recent image, for example, that you didn't deliver yet. And you said, but that's the thing. So you just said that the image needs to, I couldn't use the default Cassandra image then because I need the admin process to be
Yeah.
in. So I need to build it.
You can start with that image, and then you need,
Yeah.
build
I
it.
just need to upgrade the image inside but keep the base.
Which is why I raised something like, a different JVM, because like if you use the stock image, you're getting the JVM pick for you. You're getting Oracle JDK, and I know, or actually maybe I misspoke, but I know there's a lot of different opinions about, is it safe to consume Oracle's JDK right now, even the one they compiled open source and it's fine. Like there's some
Yeah.
shops that won't do it because of Oracle's licensing, and
Exactly.
I get it. So I'm like, well, yeah, even like the pure upstream, like this trusted, everyone trusts Docker, I guess. Docker, it's a.
Well, not anymore.
Apparently not.
Yeah. they turned the corner. They're bad now.
But yeah, I mean, people are gonna hit this in all kind of contexts. So maybe I'll make a little tutorial.
Well, Oracle has some kind of background, anyways, on licensing.
Oh, did I just say something that you hadn't heard about, Frank, or you had?
No, I'm saying that. I mean, talking about Oracle, they've got some background in licensing, so that's why we don't trust them too much.
Yeah, and I get it. Like they're kind of in control of some big projects on Docker, and they're saying like, oh, Oracle Linux is now the OS behind this image, and it's like, what now? That's like another level of pushing in. So
which is ultimately Red Hat, which cracks me up. I mean,
Right.
They just forked Red Hat.
right. So it's just like, what is going on? So if anyone was like, no, I don't trust any of this, I want to like bring my own base image, I compile, it's Debian, I compile, whatever. I'm like, okay, I mean, there's way more mistakes that can happen that way. But okay, like we were always kind of flexible on that front. It requires documentation we haven't even fathomed writing, and I've just struggled through trial and error. But maybe that's what I'm saying. Maybe I'll make.
Let me ask, Tom, what's your kind of unofficial official policy on Docker images or images? Do you have to build your own, or do you take public ones? Yeah, I'm dragging you in.
There we go. No, I'm just searching for my unmute button. We build our own. We actually have we've slightly forked Cassandra, so we have to build it anyway. So yeah, that's just part of our process.
A light fork. It's more like a spork.
Small.
Yeah, small fork. You added name services in there, didn't you? DNS resolution. No, I think that's actually going to be, I hear that more than I hear we just use whatever image is out there. Especially in large organizations that have investment.
From my perspective of like, joining DataStax to work on what later turned into being called Astra, was like, and learning Kubernetes through that lens is like, I don't think people are going to prod without like a CI/CD pipeline for their images and like their own image hosting. So we supported those ideas.
Yeah.
Out of the box with the idea that like, but as a developer, I want to probably try this without too much headache. So just like, give me some decent image default, and like,
right,
I will customize it next week,
All right. Well, I think we're bottomed out on our things here. We just need to take to the GitHubs and follow up on there. This is a good update though. And I realized now that I'm doing this, I didn't post the last one. It's on YouTube, but I didn't post it into the Cassandra wiki, which kind of makes me lame. But we are meeting again supposedly in 2 weeks. That's during KubeCon. We can, or I'd say let's play that by ear. But if the conversation gets to the point where we need to, okay, we've bottomed out on the conversation in GitHub and let's just get together and finish this. Let me know. I'm happy to organize a quick Zoom to get everybody together and finalize. That's the key word, finalize. Yeah. So let's just do that. Is that good for everybody?
I think so.
All right, great. All right, well, thanks for your time, everyone. Appreciate seeing everyone here. Take care of yourself. This is kind of a weird time. Yeah. I say that too much at the end of every Zoom call now, by the way. I'm waiting for the go crazy. Who cares how you feel?
I'm wondering when the first day where it'll be like, everything is normal again.
Yeah. Do whatever you want. There's no risk. And you feel great, I'm sure. Maybe someday. All right. Thanks a lot. See you, everyone.
Hey.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.